All right, there's one more thing that I wanted to show you, or one more video that I wanted to do, and it's basically a couple housekeeping things, a couple cleanup things, and some new features or new items that I want to go over with you. So the first one is I showed you that I would export the purchase orders and do the invoicing. So right now, sorry, do the payables. So right now, if I go to the purchase orders, one of the things that I wanted you guys to see is, so basically, if I go in and I change the status and I go to closed, then that purchase order falls off of our um, purchase order card, or sorry, purchase order list, and that's how we keep that manageable. It should also make it so that it disappears off of Mark's calendar within the kiosk that shows what purchase orders that we've got coming and things like that. Basically, it's just a management task for me to take care of. Probably doesn't concern you guys too much. The next thing, again, may not concern you guys too much, but is within the production Kanban. It is probably more of a hassle for the guys on the shop, but if you look at these that sit in accounting, once I have either invoiced for them or we've decided that, hey, they've gone through the system and they're ready to be closed out, then it's partly my job, or it's my responsibility to open each of these work orders and go ahead and close them out. And what that does is that removes the production hours from the bottleneck reports. So I want to talk about the bottleneck reports and make sure that you guys understand how important it is to keep dates up to date as much as possible. I do understand and have used the same analogy that Mark Sanderson uses, but I understand that it's a bit like hitting a moving target, or it is also like landing a parachute. So the bottlenecks are simply reports that should help us plan for production and plan for estimating. So if I create a report, the workflow phase type in production, and I want to look out 4 weeks based on our revenue, what you can see is that sitting in the week of January 5th, and we're actually now in the week of January 12th, theoretically we have nothing in this category, which means that our dates don't reflect accurately when things are due. What that means is that, as you can see, I'm one of the bad people, but I've got $77,000 due in accounting that I have yet to close out. I'll be taking care of that in a couple minutes after this, but you had $620 that was sitting in production last week, or sorry, that was due, that is still sitting in production. So it was due last week, but it's still sitting in production. Now, right now, I know that that's not entirely accurate. Much of this is not accurate, but our goal is to use this as a tool to help us plan for staffing, plan for production moving forward. Know that, hey, we see this submittals. Well, we're going to be way overloaded on submittals, so we better start outsourcing, better find some other engineering options. Dan needs to free himself up in accounting or in purchasing or whatever so that he can do some drafting next week, things like that. I need you guys' help doing that, so it is important to keep the dates up to date. The next thing that I wanted to show you is the Kanban checklist. So in our production workflow, this is our Kanban. We went over the opportunities Kanban. We are not using the drafting Kanban because we're a small enough company that we don't have 6 or 7 drafters that need to go through this. Plus, we would really like to see it all on one Kanban. It becomes a little bit difficult to manage if you've got one person or 2 people as project managers and they've got to constantly jump between the two. I did earlier talk about we may want to put an installation Kanban column over here, maybe past accounting, because sometimes we will have to do some solid surface seaming or seaming of a drywall or something, and it would be good to have some kind of card sitting there to remind us, hey, before we close this job out, we need to finish the installation or something. Mark has also just requested that we put in a completed column. That is perfectly fine. I want this to work for the company, so it is completely up to us and up to you guys how we do this. I want to make sure that it works. This is completely customizable. It needs to work in the best manner for us. Some companies have 70 of these. I was trying to keep it relatively small, but like I said, it's up to us. In order to customize this, we end up going into the workflow area and specifically into the production. And then here is the items of workflow that we can add or subtract. Now, the reason I bring you in here is there's a really unique feature that we can build in what are called checklists. So if you look, you can see that we could add checklist items. So right now, these are the checklists that exist. So any card that's put in the drafting Kanban column has these items as checklists. So you can see that in order for a drafter to begin working on submittals, or an engineer to begin working on submittals, I would think it would be important that they receive the handoff from the person who estimated it. The next step would be that the handoff document, which may be built into Energy, or we may use our own, and I can discuss that with you guys. I typically have a handoff document, which is basically the job specs. It's important that that drafter reviews them and fills out any missing information that didn't come from the estimate. When they're done with the drawings, I would think that they'd want to review against the scope of work or the estimate that I created to make sure that they caught everything. And then I would want to make sure that they said, okay, I'm done with the drafting, and I check that off. Then that card can be moved into the submittals category for the project manager. Now, with these checklists, you can make these checklist items required or not required. I currently have all of them set to not required, but I am all for strict following rules, as you guys probably know. So I would love to turn these into required items so that if somebody tried to move it from here to here, it said, you can't do that because your handoff isn't complete, or you can't do that because you haven't done this. Some of these important things are when I train project managers, I train them in certain processes. We probably don't follow them. Steve's been doing his job for a long time, so he may not need them. But in larger companies, one of the things that I do is I make sure the laminate pricing and availability is done. The edge banding pricing and availability has been verified. You guys will probably know that these are small things that every once in a while bite us in the ass. They're not the end of the world things, but I do know that we've talked, for instance, when we process something on 4x10s and we come to find out that they're only available in 5x12s. That step should help resolve that. Some of these steps, like the buyout pricing and availability, would help us communicate better with customers, because some of these items, like let's say our stainless steel countertops, are long lead time, or they're more expensive than we thought. So we would want to communicate with the customer, hey, we thought we were going to get your job done this date, and I know we're still 4 weeks out, but we found out that those countertops are a 5-week lead time. I believe most of our customers would prefer know about it as soon as possible rather than a couple days before the shipment. We can review all of these. Some of them definitely need worked on. We can also add additional columns right here. We can put new checklists, but again, all of this is to help us do our jobs better and easier, so that we only have to be, as Mark Sanderson would say, we only have to be smart once. The next thing that I wanted to share with you guys is what some of the other companies that I've seen are doing, and I really like the idea. I'm not too keen on this specific tool, but what I am enjoying is the wiki, is what it's called. So anybody who knows what Wikipedia is, it's basically a knowledge base. And right now I created a wiki and a page with the subjects that we all just reviewed, and I'm pasting the links to YouTube videos that I created that we will watch today, or that we watched today. But basically there's processes or their steps to just about everything we do. I'm finding it convenient to record these steps and upload them to YouTube and then put the link in there, which you'll see that I do there. And my goal is in the future, let's say Jeremy, I'm going to single you out. Jeremy, you didn't remember how to upload drawings. Well, you could just click here, and it would take you to here, and it would play the video for uploading drawings. That's a 3-minute and 56-second video, and let's say Dan's not here or Dan's busy, then you don't necessarily need my help. I'm hoping that we can do this for everybody and everything, and at some point we'll have a big, huge wiki of pretty much what you need to do in the company. That's about it. Thank you, guys.